bringing the social constructionist approach, bringing your experiences.
Is that better?
The experience sort of.
No, you can't see each other though. Everybody help themselves to drink some snacks. Wonderful. We're going to go ahead and get started. What I want to do is we have a couple people online. Hi Travis, hi Janet, and we have one more person that's going to join us online. And Jeff is going to monitor the online for us. What we're going to do today is we're going to not work.
Point it this way. Hold on.
Sad.
Okay.
Oh, no. I have this done, so it'll be a problem. Hi, come on in. Help yourself to coffee, water, a snack. If this doesn't continue to work, I'm going to just have Jeff run from the back. Welcome, everybody. So glad you stayed after your busy day for 4 o'clock session. We're going to learn how to flip a lesson plan. What I'm going to do today is going to do these 3 things. We're going to do some quick introductions. I'll describe the description, the format of the session. Then what I'm going to do is a little bit of an information. I'm going to get Sage on stage for a little while. Describe what flipping a lesson plan. We're not going to flip a course. We're only going to flip a lesson plan. And then I'm going to step back and be guided aside and do a learner-centered activity with you. And you're going to become the student. It's going to be an active learning environment. In front of you, you have a few pieces of paper. There is a packet called Flip It Worksheet. This is going to be your active worksheet that we're going to write on. And what I did for you, so you can take these back, I also gave you 2 blank copies of each of the worksheets. That way you can not worry about it, so please go ahead and write in the packets. And then your blank sheets you can take with you. And I also gave you a sample of a bingo sheet. What I'd like you to do before we get started, because 55% of the faculty, according to Campus Technology Newsletter, which is a media group, states that 55% of faculty are now doing some sort of flip. What I want to do for you is we're going to play bingo. While I'm talking, I want you, as you think of a word that you think I might say in this session, write it on your bingo board. But the session can't be Peggy, it can't be us introducing ourselves, it has to be something to do with flipped. And the person who can fill their bingo board, sometimes, fill their bingo board, might win a little prize from my really cute little bingo. Everybody need a pen?
Hey, you want to remind the people online that they can download that document?
I'm going to do that. And for Travis and Janet, right under the files 2 down here, you can download the packet and follow along. What I'd like to do is a couple of quick introductions. My name is Peggy Takach. Welcome. I'm so happy to see all of you. We're going to be flipping a lesson plan together. I'm the director of the Faculty Center for Teaching and Learning here at the iSchool. And I'm also adjunct faculty, and I teach IST 444, which is for undergrads presentation design skills. Start with Jeff.
Hi everyone, I'm Jeff Fouts. I work with Peggy in the Faculty Center. I'm the Director of Instructional Technology. I'm also an adjunct instructor. I teach IST 335, Introduction to Organizational Behavior. And it's nice to see all of you. Thank you very much for joining us today. And I look forward to flipping the classroom.
If you could say your name and the school or department that you work, and maybe just the class you teach if you're teaching. With you. Hi.
My name is Gaye Ceyhan. I'm from Department of Science Teaching in School of Education. I'm a first year PhD student and I'm teaching SCI 104.
Welcome. Marcy?
I'm Marcy Sonneborn. I'm in the iSchool and I'm a professor of practice and I teach entrepreneurship courses and I teach the capstone course and also what's the big idea.
I'm Angela Reeds. I'm a postdoc at the iSchool. I teach IC 558, which is a web content management.
Excellent.
I'm Casey Necklace. I'm a graduate student in the math department, and I am currently teaching calculus for life sciences.
Hi, my name is Lin, L-I-N. I'm a new faculty in the language department. I teach the freshman composition, this year writing.
Welcome. Welcome, Casey.
Bob Borski, adjunct in the iSchool, teaching the online version of the project management, IT project management course. And also getting lined up to release that same course in the 2U format.
Woo-hoo. Welcome, Bob.
Yes, it's been a long haul.
My name is Trudy Porter. I'm the Director of Enterprise Application Systems here at SU, part of ITS, and I'm an adjunct faculty for IST 359, which is Intro to Database Management Systems.
Welcome.
Johanna Berglund. I'm an adjunct here in the iSchool, and I teach the same course that Jeff teaches, the undergrad introduction to organizations, so organizational behavior. And I teach a graduate class that's management principles for information professionals.
I'm John Sheridan. I'm an incoming adjunct. Teaching IST 717 Advanced Library Management next semester.
I turned on their microphones.
Jana or Travis, do you want to introduce yourselves? If not, I can introduce you for you. You're going to try talking or something. My skin.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Travis LePage, and I am an adjunct instructor at the iSchool, teaching a new graduate course this semester entitled Agile Project Management.
Welcome, Travis.
Hello.
We also have Janet Marsden. She works over in the computer and engineering department, and she's a postdoc from the iSchool. Welcome, Janet. And this is what I'm going to share with you today is everything I learned from a 4-hour workshop. I went to a teaching professors conference 2 years ago, and I attended a 4-hour workshop given by Barbie Honeycutt. Dr. Barbara Honeycutt also owns a consulting business called Flip It Consulting. She has written many white papers, she does all kinds of presentations, and she also has another website called barbiehoneycutt.com where she has a blog and she also sells many books. And she's going to be doing a brand new online course, which I will be attending, which starts next week. Because I attended the workshop, anyone who attended the workshop and has been working with her since then, I partnered with her and she is allowing me to use her materials for this session, the packet. I will also do additional resources up in our Faculty Center webpage after, but I ask that those resources are only for the people that are attending this session. They are not for downloadable for distribution because she does have them copyrighted. She says I can share them out with faculty that attend the sessions. She is a Doctor of Graduate Teaching Professional at NC State, and she is one of the most amazing people I've ever met, and she's very, very talented and smart. And I'm going to, Jeff, can I just have you advance because this isn't working? What we're going to do today is we're going to flip. You ready to flip? What does flip mean? Flip means focus on your learners by involving them in the process. Pretty cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to flip a lesson plan to get your learners involved in the process. It's going to be a very long process. But you're probably saying, okay, I'm not gonna flip the whole course. That's very daunting. Which lesson plan can I flip? There's 3 things that Barbie shared with us, 3 key areas that you can flip and flip easily. While you are going, we're gonna start our packet, I'm gonna go through a few more slides just to get your energy going and get your brain cells working. What I want you to do right now is I'm gonna go through 3 things. Start thinking with the preview I gave you. Think about what lesson plan are you going to use for this session that you're going to flip. Can you flip off 3 of them, Jeff? Look for confusion. Confusion that, and if you've taught the course before, has there been a concept, a theory, or some kind of a practice that has been confusing to your student? That's a fantastic, easy one to flip. Look for fundamentals. Is there something that is very key to your class? Some key fundamental that they have to know, that there's a need to know, that's a fantastic thing to flip. The third one is look for boredom. As I look out over the class today, if I see boredom, I know that's a concept I need to flip for the next flip a lesson plan. When you think of those 3 areas, maybe your entire class fits this. But a great way to start is picking one lesson plan, one class period, and flip it. See how it works. Really make your students aware that you're going to try this, get that formative assessment, but really see what. So think about those 3 areas and come up with something because you're going to be doing your packets. It's going to be an active one. Boredom, fundamentals, or. You know what this is? Bloom's taxonomy. One of my favorite things in the whole world. Bloom's, love Bloom's. The reason we're going to base this off of Bloom's is because what I'm doing right now is Sage on Stage. What we're going to think about is how do you become less of the stage on stage throughout your entire lecture. How do I not, so what we're going to do is we're going to flip your way of thinking. Because in class right now what I'm doing is I'm getting you to remember and understand, and we're going up the balloons. Want to flip it, Jeff?
Oh.
Now what we're going to do is we're going to flip it, and we're going to, outside the class, I gave you a pre-read for today's session to understand and to remember some things to bring to this session. And then what we're going to do today are these 4. We're going to apply, analyze, evaluate, and we're going to create together in the next hour. I'm really sorry, it's disjointed because I can't do the clicker. Go ahead. Understand and remembering what you've done, what you want to do is outside the classroom. What can you have your students do? Yes, there's pre-reads, you can have them review a lecture, you can have them watch a video, you can have them do many, many things. But what you want to do is pick some focusing activity to have them do before they come to class. You're going to marry that with a focused activity when they get into class. So now you've gotten this outside of class. Go to the next one, Jeff. You're going to have them applying, analyzing in class is now in the first 2 to 5 minutes when the students walk in. You are not going to go over in class. The biggest mistake in flipping a lesson plan is we as instructors assign a pre-activity, and if we ask a question and no one answers, we tend to go over. If we do that in class, the students are not going to learn that they have accountability and they're responsible for doing that activity before class. Have them do it before class, have them come in class and do a focusing activity as soon as they walk into class to reinforce what they had to learn outside of class. I have a book, thank you, John. I have purchased 3 books from Barbie Honeycutt. One is 101 Ways to Flip a Meeting, 101 Ways to Flip Your Online Class. This one is exceptional. I have 1 copy. You may come to my office, you may read it, but you may not take it, because I have this. In this are 50 ways, essential 5 2 to 5 minute focus activities. They are fantastic. She breaks it down with a picture, she numbers it and gives a very short description, and they are fabulous. I have done several of these and they work. And by doing 50, I'm not saying do 50 different exercises every semester, but you can have a few little lesson plans and you can come up with, one time you can have them do strategy number 20, next time you have them do strategy number 23, and you can figure out what works best for your students, and then you can repeat those activities, but it's important to do that. Now you've done it in class activity. Now you've moved through class. What do you have them do during class at the end of the class? What we're gonna do today is so now you've done the pre, you've now done the 2 to 5 minute focused activity when they come into class. You now run your lecture. You could be sage on stage, you can do an active learning environment. The key thing is you have to follow through what focus activity are you going to have them do at the end of the class. Or if you don't give them time in class, you have to assign them a focus activity as a takeaway. So step 1 is the pre. Step 2 is do the focus activity, 2 to 5 minutes when they come into class. Run your class. And then step 3 can be combined with step 4. You can have them do an end of the class activity and or a focus activity when they leave class. So therefore, it's 3 focus activities. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Can you give us an example of like an activity? It's something that is.
I will.
Okay.
Great, thank you, Trudy. The next slide. So what we're going to do now is we're going to practice, and we're going to figure out some of those focus activities. What I want you to do is take out your packet, which online is the flip it. What your first page looks like a colorful blooms. Colorful blooms. Can they see that? What I want you to do is turn to page 1. I have taken, I'm going to go to the next slide, John. What I'm going to do is I have an example written up front, up on top. We're going to go through this packet together. Then after the packet, we're going to talk more about what focus activities. So what I want you to do now, so just do one at a time. What I want you to do now is, so instead of focusing on the focus, we're not going to focus on the activities per se. What we want to do is we want to do this brainstorming worksheet. All of the blooms are labeled here: saving, evaluating, analyzing, applying, understanding, and remembering. What you're going to do now is you're going to reverse the way you are thinking. I want you to come up with what is the lesson plan? Write the topic on the top and the purpose or goal of the lesson. What lesson plan? You specifically, so it's going to be an individual worksheet for each of you. What lesson plan? What would the topic be? And then what is the goal of that lesson plan? Take a couple minutes to fill that out. And then we're going to walk through this worksheet. We're going to try to get through as much as possible. And then we're going to go over, once we get through the packet, we'll go over some focusing activities. What I've done is for my class, when I did this 2 years ago, one of my toughest concepts is I have 2 key concepts in my class. One is presentation skills and one is design skills. I focus on the presentation skills and all of the how to do all of those techniques and skills. I had a tough time toggling my students over to understanding what the CRAP principles, contrast, repetition, alignment, proximity, and how to get them to apply that in class to a PowerPoint or to any kind of design. I chose that, so I'm going to walk through. So by creating, my topic is to effectively incorporate design concepts. So my creating was, I want them to be able to create a PowerPoint presentation of at least 5 to 7 slides, but involving the CRAP principles. The end result, I want them to be able to create an effective visual PowerPoint. What I want you to do now is you now have your topic, you have your lesson plan. What is the end outcome? What is the end measurable outcome that you need your students to complete? And we're gonna work backwards.
So if we have a lab that's included in ours,
Mhm.
could it be the lab?
Absolutely. The perfect example. Anybody else have a, does everybody have one? Anybody struggling to get one? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk for a couple minutes, and I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna pop all of mine up here, that way you can see I'm gonna walk through. The next one for evaluate, what I need them to evaluate is, many times in my class, there are common mistakes that students and people do in general when they are designing something. What I want them to evaluate and rank are the most common mistakes students make when creating slides. There are a lot of them, but I want them to understand the most common and rank them. Then, that's how they evaluate their slides. Then when they analyze, they're going to compare the use of these principles to other methods of presenting slides. That's what they're going to analyze. Then the applying, they're going to apply the correct principles to create a PowerPoint template. The understanding and the remembering, they're going to do prior to coming to class. They're going to be able to describe and apply each of the correct principles, and identify students will be able to list the principles to create a PowerPoint slide. These sound very similar, but I want them to be able to list them, and I also want them, once they list it, to be able to understand what they are. It doesn't mean that they know, oh, I want to list it, oh, contrast, repetition. Well, what does that mean? Describe to me what contrast really means when you design the PowerPoint slide. Yes.
How do you rank? Are you ranking based on the frequency of the occurrences?
I have some research that I have in my lecture about the most common mistakes people make when they're doing a PowerPoint slide, and they're directly correlated. And Nancy Doherty, who wrote my textbook, has wonderful statistics in the textbook, and she has a TED Talk that directly relates the most common mistakes to the correct principles. I have that backing me, and then I have them rank it, and then because they're doing all goes in the activity club. So they watch something, they don't absorb a lot of it, and I share that from Nancy Doherty. That's how then they can rank their own mistakes. Why don't you go ahead and fill in as best you can your lesson plan. It's okay to have a couple of holes, but make sure that on the bottom, underneath the taxonomy, there are some nice measurable action verbs that you can use, that you can, if you want anything that's measurable, go ahead and use the action verbs. Can they see me?
I can't see you on my computer. I'm asking them if they can see you.
What do I need to say?
It's just weird. They don't show up at all.
I don't show up at all? I'm invisible?
Vampire. A vampire.
Whoa. Okay, that's really weird.
Oh, but Travis can see you, so that's good. They can see you.
Hi, Travis. Give you a couple more minutes, allow you to think this through. There's also on the back side of it, Barbie did how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich example. It's typed in. You can also refer to that. Mine is this is how I filled my sheet in, and then Barbie filled her sheet in on how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You have two examples in front of you. And what you want to, in your syllabus, we start with students will be able to. That's why effective learning outcome would say students will be able to, I'm going to keep this short. On my sheet it says students will be able to create a PowerPoint presentation. Each of these learning outcomes starts with students will be able to. Travis has a question. Go ahead, Travis.
Yeah, so Peggy, on the previous slide, you showed that the planning needs to be done outside of class. What is the significance of that, segmenting those two different activities in this with the students?
What you want to do is, so you can have an active learning environment, you want to do less. It's not saying to take away all lecturing, but it's to take away some of the lecturing and having the students be more accountable for understanding and remembering some information before they come to class. That way you can do the flip. So the flip is you could have them review a lecture, a whole PowerPoint slide deck. You could have them watch a video. You can have them do one of these focusing activities. That way you aren't having to go over the complete lecture, and then with the active learning environment, you can focus on what the need to know is with the students and not what the want to know is. And it gets more learner centered. Does that help, Travis?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And then when you do the focus activity in the first 2 to 5 minutes, it ties in what they did. And when you do that focus activity, it makes them aware that you are going to do something in class to make them accountable for their pre-assignment, their understanding and remembering part of it before class. Does anybody need more time to complete this? Pretty good. So now that we've done the brainstorming worksheet, now the next step is to create the flipped lesson plan. If you go to the next page, now what you're going to do is, I unstapled mine, but you can do whatever you want. You need to have this piece that you just wrote in front of you to complete the next packet. Jeff, if you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Now what this is going to immediately flow into, now that you've gotten the learning outcomes written for what lesson plan you want to flip, now what you're going to do is break it down to what are you going to have them do prior to class? What are you going to have them do when they come in for their focusing activity? If you have them do anything during class, and then what are you going to have them do at the end of class? And each of these statements, so if you look at this packet, you see the purpose is what you've already written, but you can make it a stronger purpose. The little gray box says prior to class. I'm going to walk you through my example. Look on the back side of the peanut butter and jelly sandwich example. What I want the students to do, so my purpose says students will be able to list the principles and describe each of the principles in terms of visual aid. That's my end purpose outcome for this whole top outcome. To achieve that, what I'm going to have them do prior to class, which is filled in right here, I'm going to have them do a couple of things. I posted in Blackboard a Craft Principles video that is done by Nancy Doherty. I'm requiring them to watch that before they come to class. I'm requiring them to review my slide deck. Therefore, I am not going to be the sage on stage during that class period, because I'm having them look at the slide deck on their own before they come to class. The slide deck is approximately 20 slides, and there are about 3 slides I will open up in class and go over to make sure they understand the concepts. I'm sorry, there's 4 slides. One is called contrast, one is called repetition, alignment, and proximity. There are several supporting slides for each of those principles, but I'm going to go over the top level of those. Then once they are done doing those 2 things, I have created a blog in Blackboard. And I have asked each of the students, after they have watched the video and after they have reviewed my slide deck, I want you to go out and find, or if you already have one, it can be from another instructor, it could be from me. It could be something you did in high school. It could be something you found on the internet. Go out and find a very weak designed slide deck and a very powerful, exceptionally designed, according to how they are perceiving the principles. I'm doing all of this before we go over it in class. This is all of the pre, which is the first thing here. I want you to do now, start walking through this packet, but think about something in that lesson plan. It could be something you currently do in your class. Is there something you currently do that you can move to the pre? Or is there something that you can do in addition to help them prepare to come to class? Remember, learning. That's why you're flipping. This class period that need or deserve the stage on stage for you to do a straight lecture, those probably aren't good ones to pick to flip a lesson plan. Does that make sense? You know, so think about some activities. Some activities in addition to these could be when they come into class, once they've done this, I could do a quiz. I could post a problem on the board and have them work through a problem. These focus activities could be either an individual, or you can have them get in partnering with somebody, or they can be in groups or teams. The focus activity does not mean that each student has to do it individually. You can have a video, you can have do a research poster. A couple of my favorites are, I'd like to do a focus on challenge. I might put up there on the board, when they walk in on the whiteboard, I might just put the word crap. C period, R period, A period, P period. Dot, dot, dot. Cracks them up. Oh, look at you, go crap on the board. Oh, that's really funny. It grabs their attention. Then underneath it, I'll say, what does this mean? Sit in your teams and start describing what you did. And I'll say, if you go to the next slide, Jeff, then I have them immediately get in their teams. And I do focus activity number 36, which is a vote. I have them in their teams. Now, each individual has posted to the blog, the team blog, 1 week and 1 exceptional PowerPoint, what they think is PowerPoint. Now I have them get in their teams and say, in 2 minutes, I'm going to time you. Open up all the weak ones and vote which one you dislike the most, think is the weakest, and vote on the most powerful one. That way they're not going through every slide. Boom, 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 they go in and they succeed in 2 minutes. Then I throw a monkey wrench at them. Then I say, oh, now that you voted on the weak one in your teams, now I'm going to give you 3 minutes to come up with, I'm going to have you now take a slide from that weak PowerPoint, apply the correct principles, and how would you redesign that slide? Take notes. End of the 5 minutes, boom, done. 5-minute focus activity, and I'll say, who would like to volunteer to come up front, open up their PowerPoint, and share what they would apply? Everyone goes, ugh, they panic, but you can tell the students that did it, they raised their hand, so I pick somebody else. That's just me. Now they've done their pre, they've watched the video, they've reviewed the lecture, they each individually went out and posted something to the blog, they've come together as a team. I've proven to them that it was worth them doing all of that work. Now we're done. I have 1 or 2 teams go. I give them about 20 seconds, 30 seconds to review. 7 minutes of class period is gone. I did all of that in 7 minutes, and I time it. They'll squander up front, run, you got 30 seconds, go. I mean, I get them panic. So, I mean, I keep them going. But you can do any of the activities. You're welcome to look at these focus activities. There's 50 of them in the book. Then I can jump right into a really amazing active learning. Go to the next one, Jeff, please. I'm sorry. Now during class, I have them stay seated in their teams. And now one of my outcomes was them to be able to rank the most common mistakes. That is in the PowerPoint lecture. That's one of the slides I don't go over, but now I bring it. I say, okay, now per the lecture, that you reviewed before class, now I want you to do, we talk for a few minutes and I have them do the ranking. The students that don't come prepared, their teammates eventually really get on their case. By mid-semester, I'll tell you, I incorporated, we required, my textbook be required. I added a game called Kahoot, and I have them accountable. I'm telling you, I think this is the best semester. I'm doing the flip a lesson. I do it 3 times. Only 3. I don't flip all my lesson plans. I still have some pre-work, but every time I don't have a focus activity, they never know when there's going to be one, when there's not going to be one. I love it. And then what they have to do is during class, I say, now think about it. As we're going through the session, jot down notes, like on the bingo sheet. Jot down notes as to what you might do as you're learning more about in-depth craft principles, what you would have done differently from the beginning of class to the end of the class. And that one I moved them to the end of the focus number 12. So I give them anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes at the end, or you can make this post. I'll say, get together with your teams. Now I want to think outside the box. And focus with the challenge. I give them the challenge, and I'll say, your challenge is, an example here is, you could solve blank. But what if I changed blank? How many of you can solve? So I love the one, but what if I changed? They've already changed something in their head, but what if I changed? And I leave the blank open, and as a team, before the next class, they have to go update a slide in that week PowerPoint based on the challenge, but what if I changed? Based on the craft principles, they repost in the blog, and the process repeats. Flip a lesson plan, you must have a focus activity. You can do active learning. You have to have an end of the class focus activity either in class or they need to do it as homework, but it's important they have to have a homework. It doesn't have to be a graded assignment. I love giving them extra stuff. It's something extra, and then they bring that, and then you have another focus activity if you go to the next one, Jeff. So the next class, they write next class. Boom. I do 2 more focus activities, and I've successfully flipped a lesson plan. It involves beginning of class, end of class, homework, and you have to do a follow-up in the next class to do the focus, and it brings it all together. Then you move on. That's considered mastering that concept, that problem, or that fundamental, those 3 things. Does that make sense? So this one, I usually go into the team blogs before they come. I find them that look really good. And I'll put up on 2 different screens. I have the fortune to have 2 screens in my room. I'll put what it looked like before, and I'll say, kudos to team number 6. Look at how great they made this really ugly design. Look at how great they applied the craft principles. The next team will, oh, we weren't picked. I'm like, think outside the box, a little more effort. The competition begins. Or I might even do focus of the game. I use Kahoot. I do questions on the readings, and they love it. They'll ask me, and Jeff does the same thing. They'll say, are we going to play Kahoot today? They don't realize they're getting quizzed. They love it. So what I would like you to do right now, I can pass this around, but try to go down through, okay, it's 4:42. In the next 5 minutes, let's go to about 4:45, 4:46. Try to do what you would do and then figure out what you could do for the post, and then how you can effectively bring that round robin to the next class. So as much as you can in here for this in the packet. So what would you have them do before the class? What would you have them do when they come into class? Yes.
So I have a question. So with understanding the taxonomy, can you have them step down the taxonomy outside of class, or is it only good to keep it at the same level or go up?
The outside of class is more of the remembering and understanding.
Okay.
So the pre and the homework, you want to stay at the lower level. The in class is where you can take them for those 4. You can pick any of those 4. You can have them create, analyze. You're not going to hit all 4, but that's so that one of those 4 in the taxonomy comes when they're doing the focus activities. And then you have flip. I'm sorry. You're flipping the taxonomy as well. So typically in a lecture, we're lecturing to understand and remember. We want them to do that prior to class. And then you're using some kind of active learning environment to get them to do one of those 4 levels of the taxonomy in class. Typically, that's what homework does when you flip. Get them to analyze something, evaluate something. Understand can also be homework.
Okay. I'm just having trouble thinking of something after they do the big activity that you know what I mean? Yes.
Question.
Absolutely.
For each flipped lesson plan, can we include all of these textbooks, or we don't have to?
When you do for inside the classroom or the pre?
All of the class, the whole lesson plan.
The lesson plan typically encompasses 1 class, 1 week. If I teach twice a week, and my lesson plan could technically start over the weekend for the pre. They come in on Tuesday, they do the focus activity. We do the active learning. I do another focus activity, give them homework, and then they come back in class on Thursday, and they do another focus activity, then I move on to something else. I might not do a flip lesson plan that vigorously. I can still have them reread, I can still have them read chapters. Having them read the normal stuff is not really flipping a lesson plan. You have to do the focus activity, do the active learning, the end of the focus, and then have another activity in the next class period. That's the start to finish of the lesson plan.
But I mean is, for example, in that lesson plan, we can use applying and evaluating, but
Yes.
don't include any activity for analyzing and creating, for example.
You don't have to, you can just pick one of them. You can have, your goal could be, like my goal was for them to be able to evaluate the CRAP principles.
Okay.
And then also then to rank the most common mistakes, which would be analyzing.
It's not easy to include everything in
Right.
each.
And then the end result, by the end of the whole 3 or 4 weeks, my top outcome with this lesson plan, in addition to other classes, my goal was to be able to have them do an effective 5 to 7 slide.
Okay.
So just because you have a top level, it could be how you're starting it with the lesson plan, but then how you grow over the next 2 or 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Okay.
It's 4:47. Do you want a couple more minutes? Yeah. We don't have to, this is just to get you started. You don't have to finish the packet here. I did a 4-hour workshop to complete this packet. I'm giving you an hour. She gave us a lot more hands-on time. I'm rushing you right to it.
Can you have them doing research
Yes.
on the topic as a pre?
Yes. I happened to get today, which I can share with you as a resource. Barbie sent me today, as a matter of fact, on how to flip and analyze a case study or a research paper or a research concept. I can share that with you. How ironic is that? It's really funny. I got that just today. I haven't read it yet, but I have a lot of resources and how she Two of her favorite things is to use index cards and do mind maps and how to do gaming. And I have a whole paper or resource on how to use index cards. She has about 20 different ways to use index cards for a focus activity. Focus activities are great to go back to grade school with pens and paper and chalkboards, Post-it notes. One that I love to do is I give them Post-it notes and I have them come up to the board. I'll put that crap on the board. You can use Padlets, you can use, there's technology or they just pop a Post-it note. It's fun, it's just getting them engaged.
What do you do with people who don't do the pre-work?
You can do a couple of things. Never, never, never go over the content because someone didn't do their pre-read. Jump into the focus activity. If it's individual, have some kind, if you notice that they're slacking off, you can make it a graded one. You can do a check, participation, something. If it's a team, let the team members beat up on them. It works very effectively. If the thing that the thing I'm going to stress is do not go over the content. If they ask questions to further, to take it to the next level, and it works in what you're doing in the class, that's fine. But you can also, if someone, I haven't done this, but Barbie's had a couple times, she had someone that was chronically that didn't do it, so she asked them to leave the classroom.
Permanently or just
For that day, for that class period. Or she also would say, this is part of your participation grade for your attendance. If you don't come prepared, you may sit in the seat and learn, but you will not be recorded as being here for attendance. Those are really harsh things. I'm telling, if you do this and you don't go over the material, you stick with your plan. You have to be very organized, you stick with the plan. It will work, and students by week 4 or 5, they will learn. I better come prepared for class. So I'm going to read something to you that Barbie, when you begin to write your learning outcomes for the flipped lesson plan, follow these tips. Be specific. Is it reasonable? Can your students show it to you? If at any point in that focus activity, could they get up and demonstrate, or could they show it to you, or some verbally tell you? And use action verbs to get started. Always use the action verbs because it's easier to explain how you're going to measure that focus activity. Those are the things I want to make sure I type. And I'm going to move to the next slide. I'm not going to go over this. But I want to leave a couple minutes to talk about a couple of things. When you're flipping a lesson plan, I flipped the title on purpose. That's pretty clever, right? These are things to remember, and I have more, these are more defined. I can go over these with you, but these are things I wanted to put in the slide deck. We're going to put the slide deck up on our Faculty Center webpage under the session handouts. I want to be sure to put these in. Make sure that you follow these. These are great strategies. The one I want to stress the most is the bottom one. Plan carefully, create your structures, stay organized. Use templates, guided notes, table numbers to organize your materials and manage your time. Do not start flipping a lesson plan to cause you more work. The flipped lesson plan, if you follow these steps and use this worksheet works. Don't skip the first step. Go through the brainstorming worksheet, jot it down, go through the second couple pages, use this as your guided notes. I am more than welcome. I brought them with me. I'm not sure you'll want them, but this is how I wrote it through. I typed it into the PowerPoint. You're welcome to take a copy of it, of my sloppy handwriting of what I did in the 4-hour workshop. You're welcome to take a copy of this. It's typed concisely in the PowerPoint, but you also have the peanut butter and jelly sandwich example. do the guided notes, go through the process. But again, I'm gonna go over one more time. Step 1, do a pre-activity. You have to do that. Do something above and beyond just having them read the textbook. Give them a video to watch. Give them something that's substantial. Give them something, look for things that might be fun to do. Have them go find a video. Have them go find a case study. Have them go find a science problem. Have them go find a math problem. So make them immersed in their learning. Then you have to do the focus activity in the first 2 to 5 minutes. Do your active learning. It's very important when you do a flipped lesson plan that you don't just lecture after that, because you're really taking away the reason that you're doing the flipped. You can still lecture for a few minutes, but you have to have some engaging, active learner, very learner-centered. End with a focus activity or at least a summary to move them into a focus activity they do on their own or in a team after the class ends. Class number 2, it's imperative. This is where the lesson plan usually falls down. You have to do another focus activity to sum up and then move to the next concept. If you're not, don't just assign an activity for the sake of having them do work. Let them talk about it, let them do something in class to reiterate the fact that they put some hard hours. Anybody have any questions on Flip a Lesson Plan? That's a really good book. It's got, it has fantastic focus activities. I'm gonna, just go ahead.
So what is the, in a full class, in a course, what's the ideal number of classes or lesson plans that you
Flip. I don't have the answer to that. What I'm going to respond back to you is if it's something that's fundamental, if it causes boredom, or it's a really tough concept and you've gotten a lot of questions on it, those are 3 key areas. I only have 3 flips for an entire semester.
So is the preference for were they bored?
They just weren't able to grasp what it was more of the fundamentals / not understanding it, the concept. It was a tougher concept because I don't just state it, I make them truly understand it. And their very next presentation, they have to design an infographic based on crap principles without just throwing crap in there. Top crap.
So the way I'm understanding that students just really don't know what they expect when they come in class. They can come in class and you just be like doing the stage on the stage thing, and they can come in next week and they'll be doing something.
And totally. That's a great question, Angela, because what you're doing is you're making them accountable for the work outside and responsible for the work outside of class, because they aren't going to know, oh, am I going to have a great quiz today? Are we going to play a game? Are we going to get in a team? Oh, is she just going to lecture today? You don't have to tell them, but you can. Depending on what preparedness, you could tell them, you're going to do this, we're going to do a flip next week, come prepared, because when you walk into class, the first 5 minutes, you're getting in your teams, and you are going to do X. Or you can say, quiz. You can write something on the board. You can put a picture up there. You can, in Kahoot, Kahoot is a questioning technique. I won't go into Kahoot, but there's so many things that you could do using technology as well as just using the pedagogy. You can use the whiteboards, you can use index cards, Post-it notes, pair, think, pair, share. There's different techniques that you can do. Yes.
Okay, so I'm trying to think, so I teach in 3-hour blocks.
Yes.
Which is fun and challenging.
So you can break it down. 3-hour blocks is just as effective because during the break, some students love to sit in the classroom and refocus. you could have them, even if it's a pre-read, you can have them do a focus activity at the beginning of class, go through stuff, and have a second focus activity when they come back from break. It's perfect. Therefore, because what I've done is I've incorporated 2 hour, 20-minute classes, you're just doing the same thing. And then when they leave, you can have them do another, as their a ticket out with the, back to the next class. Or you can even end up their class with an in-class focus activity and then move on to the next concept. Does that make sense? Works very well. Barbie has done both. I only teach 2 twice a week. But you've taught 3-hour classes. Did you do a focus, something when you come back from break?
Well, I do my class a little bit different.
That's true. That's true. But he might have, Jeff might have some ideas because you teach the same class. On hand, yes.
Yeah, my students are going to like have a poster project at the end of the semester.
Yes.
So I wonder if you have some advice or materials, if I flip the class for a poster presentation or for the students design poster first and then have a presentation. It's the first time I kind of guide the students through the process.
I don't off the top of my head because I don't do posters, but I'm happy to do some research for you and talk offline with you and have a conversation.
Okay.
Or does anybody do posters, have an idea? We have several faculty here that do poster sessions in class. We actually do an end of the semester poster session where a lot of classes get together. And I know some of the faculty and I'll ask them for some tips as well.
Okay, so we keep in touch with
Yes, I have your email, Lynn.
you. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, use
Link.
LG.
LG.
LG, yep, I have it.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. I'm gonna note down here poster. Don't forget. Any other questions or has anybody done a flip? Keep in mind, I'm gonna leave you with one thought. And it's 5:02, I've kept you 2 minutes past, I apologize for that. One parting words, it's flip a lesson plan, it's not flip a course. One plan at a time. If you have, I have this book, I have the other books. I have a lot of resources. Again, we have a faculty center website. We will post we'll send out an email once, I'll post up, well, Jeff will. I don't take credit for it. Jeff will post up because I have a WordPress idea. He will post up the slide deck that you see here and the worksheet packet, and I'll do a resource list of the different PDFs I have from Barbie. And then I have so much information. If there's any questions, like what Marcy asked, how do you flip something with a case study or a research paper? I have many different resources I'll post up. We'll email out once that's up. One last thing that I do, we didn't play bingo. I apologize for the bingo. Anybody fill in the bingo board? Yes? Almost? You get bingo board? Nice. How many filled in the bingo board? 3? You get to pick something lovely out of the prize little bucket. Woo! And before you leave, if you could please pick up the index card and answer these wonderful questions, these 4 things. And you can leave on the table back where Jeff is sitting, that'd be great. This helps us out. Don't be shy. If you didn't like the session, I will not be offended. Yes, how's that? Wonderful. And Judy and Johanna, you both have one? I didn't say it?
No, I don't think you did.
Well, let me say it for you now. And you do the same type of learning outcomes, measurable outcomes that you find in syllabus. Bingo. But they didn't yell, bingo! Travis or Janet, do you have any questions? Travis and Janet, could you please fill out these questions and email them to Jeff or I, please?
Sure. Peggy, how have your students, first of all, do you tell your students that you're doing this or do you just do it? Secondly, how have they received it and how effective do you think it's been overall?
Okay, I learned this process 2 years ago. I'm in my 5th semester since I've learned this. The first semester I did it, I was very scared and very nervous. I told my students what I was doing and I asked for formative assessment. I was flat out blank told them, this is what I'm doing. I want to try this new technique. They were so wonderful. They loved it. I got great feedback. Now I just do it because now I'm in my 5th semester of doing this process. I've already flipped them. I've fine-tuned it over the last couple of semesters, 3 semesters. But the first semester, anytime, Travis, I try a new technique, I usually tell my students, that way they know what I'm doing, especially if it really fails.
Yeah.
What if it fails? Then we say, well, why did it fail? And we usually fix it. Great question, Travis.
Hey, Travis? Travis? Are you there, Travis?
This is Travis.
Bob Zaborski, I teach the regular project management course online. I'd like to talk to you about your course. I just want to see where we can converge and where we diverge. Can you give me your email address?
Sure. It's, you want me to, I could probably look you up and send you an email. What's your last name?
Zaborski, Emborski.
Travis, I have it. I gave him if you're okay with that. Is that not my chat? Forgive my, ooh. Hold on. Let me give you a real one. There you go. Did I give you a real one? Good enough. How my chicken scratch? Oh my goodness. You know, my chicken was so effective.
Yeah.
You want names on the card?